At my son's wedding, I discovered an unexpected truth and left with a transformative decision. Jack had spent decades bathing in glory as his designs transformed the skyline of their small Midwestern town. Yet here he stood, surrounded by friends and family, feeling utterly disconnected. The church was buzzing, laughter echoing in the air as his son exchanged vows with the love of his life. Among the clinking glasses and heartfelt toasts, a voice inside him whispered over the joyous din. Something was missing. He watched as his son beamed, so hopeful, so unaware of the chasm that had grown beneath Jack's successes. The accolades that had once felt fulfilling now hung like weights around his heart, each symbolizing sacrifices he had made. Sacrifices that had pushed him further from the life he had once envisioned. He felt the knot in his stomach tighten with every laugh shared and every sentiment expressed at the reception. Was this all worth it? Had he traded his father's dreams for his own twisted version of success? Scanning the room, his eyes landed on Tom, his estranged brother, perched in a corner, nursing a drink. Tom had always been the black sheep, the one who had never caught the same break Jack had. There was a pain behind Tom's tired eyes that Jack had long tried to ignore, yet now it resonated with a familiar ache. Their childhood had been a tug-of-war of ambition and resentment. Should he confront that? The thought sent his heart racing, and he turned away from Tom, a flood of regret and unresolved conflict crashing over him. Moments bled into one another, and memories spiraled as he recalled his father, a man with insatiable dreams of building a community center to support struggling families. Jack had forgotten those plans, buried under the weight of his aspirations. What would his father think of his grand designs now? Jack's achievements, a string of impressive buildings, felt hollow in light of a legacy left unfulfilled. Voices swirled in his mind, but the loudest was the ache of longing tinged with guilt. Was his success robbing him of his true purpose? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack felt the weight of a decision forming, one that could reshape the course of his life and perhaps his family's. He couldn't shake the feeling of standing on the precipice between the man everyone saw and the one he truly was. His anxiety peaked, each beat of his heart echoing doubt. Could he sacrifice the comforts of his career for something as uncertain as reconnecting with his roots? The ceremony around him felt like a blur, the clinking of glasses morphing into a cacophony that drowned out sensible thought. As emotions swirled, he felt torn between a well-trodden path of success and a whispered call to explore his father's forgotten dreams. With every laugh, every toast proclaiming family's importance, Jack felt the pressure mount. What would it take for him to bridge the gap not just with Tom, but with everything he had allowed to slip away? He stood at that crossroads, paralyzed by the enormity of it all, ready to scream as the clock ticked down on yet another opportunity, one that could dissolve the uncertainty if he only dared to voice it. As he opened his mouth to speak, the joyous noise around him dimmed, leaving just one haunting question lingering. Could he find the courage to reclaim his father's legacy, or would he turn his back on the chance to heal the wounds of his family for good? Jack hesitated, his words bubbling just beneath the surface, cloaked in uncertainty. Tension coiled tightly within him, poised like a spring ready to unleash. Could he truly have the conversation he'd been avoiding for years, not just with his brother, but with himself? The moment felt pivotal, demanding accountability and honesty. His son's wedding had been meant as a celebration, yet it was shaping into something far more profound. As he stood there, confronted by the magnitude of his internal landscape, the bittersweet realization sank in. All his accomplishments flashed before him. An impressive portfolio, a flaunted reputation. But they suddenly felt inconsequential. The essence of who he was seemed to reside not in his designs, but in the connections left to wither over time. The visceral pain of unspoken words and neglected relationships surged through him, and he felt cornered by his own life choices. He flicked his gaze to Tom again, measuring the distance that had come to symbolize their fractured bond. Watching him sip slowly, lost in thought, Jack glimpsed a future where regrets revisited weren't just his own, but echoed through the lives of those he loved. Was it too late to mend the rift? His instincts screamed for a plan, some calculated method to tackle their years of silence and resentment. In that instant, Jack vowed to engage Tom. But how? What could he say that would bridge a lifetime of misunderstanding? Perhaps starting with a simple acknowledgement of the past could initiate a healing dialogue. The walls he had erected around his heart for so long had to come down, brick by brick. His thoughts began racing. If only he could remember the last time they had talked without the weight of competition. Could they share a moment free of rivalry? A moment that acknowledged their shared experiences and past hurts? The thought of addressing it felt daunting, yet exhilarating. Was this the realization he had long evaded? A profound truth that had crystallized amid the raucous laughter of the reception? "Hey, Tom," he finally managed, his voice cracking the air between them, laden with uncharted emotions. As Tom turned to meet his gaze, Jack initiated a tentative step toward possible reconciliation. "We need to talk." The uncertainty hung palpably in the air, a mix of anxiety and hope. Watching his brother's brow furrow under the weight of the unexpected plea, Jack sensed a shifting energy. He had waded into murky waters, and yet, the potential for a breakthrough was intoxicating. With each step closer, he felt the years of distance begin to dissolve. Would Tom be receptive? Would resentment surface and overshadow this fragile opening? Or could they embark on the path toward understanding? As the minutes unfolded, Jack sought moments where he could articulate the experiences that shaped them both. Every shared childhood memory, a bridge connecting them. He realized he had almost forgotten the thrill of connection, the reassuring balm of kinship. How had ambition robbed him of such invaluable fabric? With every word exchanged, Jack felt a layer of his facade chip away. It was surprising how vulnerable he felt as he began to peel back years of guardedness. This wasn't just about his relationship with Tom. It felt like a reclamation of his own identity, what he stood for, what legacy he wanted to leave. Just as he felt a glimpse of clarity emerging through the enveloping fog, a rush of voices interrupted their moment, pulling him back into the reality of the celebration. Were they truly ready to explore these deep-seated issues? Time was slipping through his fingers like sand, and with it, the chance to confront his own facade. Jack steadied himself, feeling an urgency swell within. They stood at the precipice of a pivotal turnaround, one that promised to reshape the core of his personal journey and his connection with Tom. He didn't want to forge ahead without understanding the true depth of their bond. This was just the beginning, the faint whisper of hope in a cacophony of unresolved conflicts. Would they confront their past? Or would they let this moment slip away like so many before? He had to decide quickly. The question loomed heavy in the air, echoing the struggle within him. Could he challenge the comfort of the past and embrace the uncertainty of healing? What was on the line if he didn't? With a deep breath, Jack steeled himself for the road ahead. His next move was crucial. Jack's pulse raced as he stood before Tom, every heartbeat a drum roll urging him to move forward. He had taken that first step, but now he had to follow it through. "Listen," Jack began, his voice firmer now, infused with a raw honesty that surprised him. "We've let our lives drift apart for too long. It's time to talk about everything we've been avoiding." Tom raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback. A mixture of wariness and curiosity flickered across his face. This was new territory, uncharted and intimidating for both of them. Jack could see the walls he'd carefully constructed around himself mirrored in Tom. Years of competition, disappointment, and unacknowledged pain. "Honestly, Jack, I didn't expect this," Tom replied, his tone cautious yet contemplative. "What do you mean, everything?" That simple question felt like an invitation, not just from Tom, but from himself, to confront the festering issues he had long buried. "It's about our father, our rivalry, everything that led us here today. This wedding should feel like a celebration, but all I see is what has been missing between us." As he spoke, Jack felt waves of vulnerability wash over him, each word carefully dismantling the defenses that felt so comfortable for years. He was no longer just a successful architect. He was a brother who had lost something irreplaceable through ambition and pride. The realization was both liberating and terrifying. "I didn't know how to approach you either," Tom admitted, his voice softening. "I thought you didn't want anything to do with me. It just felt easier to keep our distance." "Easier," Jack echoed, his mind racing. There was nothing easy about the hollowness that distance had caused. But at what cost? We've spent so much time willing ourselves into silence. "I've missed you, Tom. I think we both have." Jack watched his brother's guarded expressions ripple, uncertainty giving way to introspection. Each moment stretched, both men wrestling with years of suppressed conversations and emotions. It struck him that this was not merely about words exchanged, but about owning his own narrative, dismantling the carefully curated image of success that had overshadowed their relationship. As a child, he had craved his brother's approval, the kind that came with shared dreams and endeavors. Yet somewhere along the way, Jack had forgotten the importance of nurturing their bond in pursuit of fame. Could he dare to shift the narrative and redefine what mattered most? "Do you remember that time we built that treehouse?" Tom interrupted Jack's spiraling thoughts, the hint of nostalgia softening his expression. "We were so proud, thinking we were going to change the world." The shared memory created a moment of levity amidst tension, but Jack took it further. "It's crazy to think we once had dreams together," he said, a flicker of hope sparking within him. "Somewhere along the line we let those dreams rot while pursuing our own selfish goals. Couldn't we find a way back to that?" Tom's expression contorted, and for the first time, Jack saw a glimmer of vulnerability in his brother's eyes. "What if we can? I've felt that loss too. Maybe it's not too late for us, Jack." Encouraged by Tom's openness, Jack leaned in closer. The air felt charged, vibrant with the possibility of understanding. "How do we start? Is it recognition or forgiveness? Or do we need to face what's truly left unsaid between us?" As the words hung in the air, Jack felt a surge of determination. This moment wouldn't just redefine their relationship, it would redefine him. This was not a mere reconciliation. It was a reclamation of himself, his capacity for connection layered beneath years of ambition. But just as they began to forge that fragile connection, the festive atmosphere surged back into the foreground, laughter and music swirling around them like a whirlwind. The moment felt both vital and perilous. What if they didn't build on that spark right away? Would hope diminish, swallowed by the chaos of the celebration? Resilience surged within Jack as he considered their path forward. Whatever came next would demand courage, yet he felt ready to confront the shadows of their shared past. "Let's make a pact," he urged, his voice steady. "An agreement that we'll work through this. Together." Tom nodded, the initial uncertainty fading into something firmer. An agreement forged between brothers determined to claim their narrative, to let healing become the new foundation of their relationship. Yet, deep down, Jack understood that this initial commitment was just the beginning. What else would they uncover as they unearthed their shared history? The thought sparked dread and excitement in equal measure. Jack squared his shoulders, ready to navigate whatever came next. Yet, As the music pulsed and echoed around them, he couldn't help but feel the weight of unresolved conflicts lingering, ready to surface at the most inopportune moment. Would they truly emerge from this confrontation wiser and stronger? Or would the shadows of the past threaten to overwhelm the fragile light they had just begun to kindle? Jack's heart thrummed in his chest, a mix of exhilaration and anxiety, as he and Tom stepped away from the dissonance of small talk and laughter. The pact they had formed felt delicate, like the threads of an intricate tapestry yet to be woven. They were both suddenly acutely aware of the eyes around them, faces celebrating, but their own was marred by their unspoken grievances. In that moment, Jack felt more exposed than ever. "Let's find somewhere quiet," he suggested, desperate to escape the superficiality of the celebration. He needed space to explore the complexities of their agreement. Tom nodded, and together they weaved through the crowd toward the expansive garden outside, an oasis amid the clamor. A few solitary lanterns flickered under the dusk sky, illuminating a small wooden bench tucked away beneath a grand elm tree. Jack could feel the weight of silence pressing down, almost suffocating. They settled into place opposite each other, the distance between them somehow larger now, as if the unspoken words had formed an insurmountable chasm. "All right," Tom said, breaking the silence. "Where do we begin?" Jack hesitated, contemplating where to direct the flood of emotions begging for release. "Do you really want to dig into everything? I mean, it's easier to keep pretending," he replied, testing the waters. "Clearly, pretending hasn't worked for us," Tom countered, his voice steady. "What do we stand to lose by being honest? The truth could be ugly, but isn't that better than living a lie?" Jack felt a flicker of bravery at Tom's clarity and knew that the time for excuses was over. "We both know Dad was never proud of us. In his eyes, we were always competing, always failing to measure up." Tom's jaw tightened, the mention of their father casting a shadow over them. It hurt to always live in that shadow. "I tried to be the son he wanted, and you, well, it seems you did too. It wasn't just about him. I thought if I made a name for myself, built something grand, maybe he would acknowledge me. But in reality, it pushed us further apart," Jack admitted, the gnawing regret of lost years beginning to seep into his words. Tom studied him, and Jack could almost see the gears turning in his brother's mind. "We've both been so focused on personal ambition that we neglected what truly mattered, each other. It should have been about us, not about winning a race." The weight of acknowledgement pressed down on Jack's chest, bittersweet, yet freeing. "If we were going to fight to win Dad's love, we might as well have been fighting against each other the entire time," Jack replied, his own firm voice betraying the tremor of regret beneath. "Maybe that's why it felt easier to drift away." Tom nodded, a flicker of understanding igniting between them. "And now? What's the next step? Is simply recognizing it enough?" "Maybe not," Jack replied, feeling a surge of uncertainty. "Maybe we need to redefine success, not as individual achievements, but as shared victories. We can create our own legacy." The words hung heavy between them, but the resonance felt different. There was a spark of possibility in the air, a shared pulse igniting their common desire to heal. Yet even as Jack felt hope pour in, a darker thought crept in, nagging at the edges of his resolve. "What if we try and fail?" he asked suddenly. "What if after all this, nothing changes?" Tom leaned back, the moonlight casting shadows that highlighted the creases of worry on his brow. "Then we try again. We owe it to ourselves to chase this, Jack. But we also have to acknowledge that it's going to be hard. Harder than anything we've ever faced." Jack nodded slowly, the acknowledgement settling over them like a shroud. There were so many layers yet to peel back, so many emotions to navigate. The night felt thick with unresolved issues, and he realized the past was not a ghost to be exorcised, but a map to guide their future. Would they find the courage to face everything their relationship had buried? As the night deepened, Jack felt a shiver of anticipation coursing through him. He glanced at Tom, who sat studying him, both men aware they were poised at the edge of something monumental. But would they take the leap, or would fear tether them to the past? In that moment, Jack understood that the path before them would not be straightforward. Yet as he inhaled the crisp night air, a sense of determination flickered within him. "Let's commit," he said, his voice strong, "to being truthful, to working through the pain. But first, we must face the deepest wounds." As he spoke the last word, he noticed a figure lingering nearby, eavesdropping on their conversation. Jack's heart sank as recognition flooded through him. The time had come to face not just their demons, but an unexpected trespasser from their past, a figure with the power to fracture everything they had begun to rebuild. Jack's pulse quickened as he squinted into the shadowy figure lurking just beyond the garden's edge. The familiar outline sent a surge of anxiety racing through him. It was their mother, a ghost of the past, and the bearer of a lifetime of complexities he had never fully confronted. Memories of strained conversations, tears, and silent dinners flooded back, and Jack fought to steady his breathing. "Mom," he said, his voice strained, the word barely a whisper. It felt as if he had awakened a distant storm, one that could either cleanse or destroy. Tom followed Jack's gaze, his expression hardening. "What's she doing here?" "I don't know," Jack replied, a mix of dread and curiosity gathering in his chest. "But we can't ignore her." With a nod rooted in shared understanding, they rose from the bench and approached her, a palpable tension weaving through the air. Her eyes held a mix of relief and trepidation as she stepped tentatively forward. "I didn't mean to interrupt," she said, her voice trembling slightly. I just needed to find you both. Can we talk?" Jack exchanged looks with Tom, silently weighing the risks. This was not just a conversation, it was a reckoning. Would they confront the years of emotional distance, or would they deflect, continuing the cycle of avoidance? "Fine," Tom replied, folding his arms. "But we'll be honest, this is our chance to clear the air." Jack's heart hammered as they settled onto the damp grass beneath the elm, the moonlight gauging the weight of past grievances that hovered like a thick fog. "Why didn't you come to us before?" Tom's voice was steady, yet it crackled with an undertone of betrayal. "You let so much happen without us." "I was afraid," she admitted, folding her hands tightly in her lap. "Afraid of how I would be received after everything that happened, how I could face the both of you." "After everything?" Jack echoed, the bitterness of past failures bubbling over. "We were left to navigate this mess alone." Their mother's gaze drifted away, cheeks reddening under the quiet reprimand. "I thought it would be easier if I stayed out of it. I wanted to make your lives better. By pretending none of it mattered?" Jack's voice cracked like thunder in the still night. "We needed you. We needed your truth." His words hung heavily, cutting through the fog, forcing a reckoning. Jack felt a fold in his heart. He had wanted to unearth these truths, even if they were painful. "What truth?" he pressed, his urgency mingling with a dawning realization that perhaps her secrets echoed his own. "I never wanted you to feel like you had to compete against each other," she finally confessed, the tremor in her voice resonating with remorse. "Your father put so much pressure on you both. I thought distance would keep you safe. But I see now, I was wrong." Jack's breath hitched, the betrayal of years distorting his perception. "So you just let us figure it out alone?" "I was scared," she replied, her eyes pleading. "I lost myself in my own struggles and thought giving you the space would help, but instead it turned into isolation. I never wanted to harm you two." Jack could feel the years of resentment teetering on the edge of forgiveness. Could understanding dispel the years of hurt? They had spent so long fighting for a connection, only to realize their mother had silently suffered too. "What do we do now?" Tom asked, a softness creeping into his voice as he considered the potential for a shared path forward. Jack's mind swirled, grappling with the truth that lay before him. This moment could redefine more than the relationship with their mother. It could reshape everything they believed about family, success, and healing. "Maybe we start over," Jack suggested tentatively, the weight of new possibilities enriching his voice. Jack could sense the stirrings of hope mingled with dread. But were they ready to pursue a life unshackled from pain? Just then, another voice interrupted their quiet reckoning, the voice of the figure who had been lurking on the fringes. "I wouldn't recommend that." Jack swiveled to see who had interrupted. The figure stepped forward, drawing closer, each step echoing the threats buried in their past. What they faced now could either tether them further to despair, or ignite a transformative journey, an adventure where betrayal and honesty collided. Would they have the fortitude to face the chaos and emerge not just as individuals, but as a united front against the shadows of their past? Jack felt the chill wash over him, a familiar unease creeping back as he turned to confront the figure speaking from the shadows. The moonlight glinted off a face that he recognized too well, a face that had haunted their family in more ways than one. "Brian," he breathed, tightening his grip on Tom's shoulder. The name resonated with the weight of unfinished business, a specter from their childhood that had escaped accountability. "Are you here to threaten us again?" Tom snapped, defensive and protective of the fragile moment they had just begun to forge with their mother. Brian smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "No threats. Just a reminder. You really think shaking hands and forgiving will turn back the clock? You think she can erase what she did?" "That's not fair," Jack interjected, the anxiety from moments earlier morphing into determination. "We're trying to move forward, to understand each other." "Understand? She didn't understand how to be a mother, a protector. She let you drown in your father's shadow," Brian retorted, anger sparking in the cold night air. Jack could feel the bitterness dripping from Brian's words, each syllable coated in the resentment of their past. "I'm not here to relive the past," their mother interjected, her voice trembling yet steady. "I came to acknowledge what's been broken and to take responsibility." Brian's laughter pierced through the tension like glass shattering. "Responsibility? You think saying sorry makes it all okay? You can't just wish away the scars." Jack felt the weight of those words. It was true. The emotional wounds were not superficial, nor could they be disregarded with empty apologies. Would confronting Brian amplify the pain they sought to heal? Or would it offer Jack a chance to challenge the very foundations of his own weaknesses? "Maybe it's not about wishing it away," Jack said, a surprising calm settling over him. "Perhaps it's about finding strength in vulnerability. We can't change the past, but we can build from it." Brian's eyes narrowed, as if he was caught off guard by Jack's newfound assertiveness. "And you think she can help you with that?" "We're taking the first step together," Jack replied, his voice gaining confidence. "That's more than you ever did." For an instant, Jack saw the flash of doubt cloud Brian's expression. Had he indeed convinced himself that the wounds were irreparable? Did he think his resentment would somehow shield him from accountability? "You don't know what it's like to be a real family," Brian scoffed bitterly. "You don't know the price you'll pay to forgive and forget." "That's the thing, Brian," Jack said sharply, surprising even himself with this assertiveness. "I know the price. But what you fail to see is that holding on to anger only keeps you in chains. I don't want to be bound by your fears." Suddenly he felt empowered, merging his fear with determination into a newfound resolve. Jack turned back to his mother, her face illuminated by a flicker of pride mixed with sorrow. This conversation birthed the possibility of change, and despite Brian's negativity, Jack sensed the first light of clarity piercing through despair. "What do you think?" Jack asked his mother, no longer just a son in need of her approval, but as an emerging adult seeking collaboration. "I think we need to take the hard road together," she replied, her voice gaining strength. "But it begins with honesty, not just between us, but confronting the shadows that linger." Brian huffed, agitated, stepping back into the darkness from where he emerged. "You'll regret this, Jack. You think understanding and bonding will shield you from the real world? It's only going to get messy." Jack felt a shiver of apprehension ripple through him. He was prepared to navigate through messiness. He had faced Brian, confronted his mother, and emerged with a clarity he hadn't expected. The atmosphere swirling around him smoldered with unresolved issues. But even through the thicket of fear and resentment, Jack understood this might be the pivotal moment that propelled him towards self-discovery. As Brian retreated, tendrils of darkness lingered like an ever-present fog, and the question solidified. What would their commitment to honesty reveal? Facing his mother and Tom, Jack felt an undeniable spark of hope. The chance to reshape their family story rested in their hands. But the question remained. Would the emerging truth bring them closer to healing, or unravel them anew? "Let's take that step together," Jack proposed softly, knowing they were teetering on the precipice of a new beginning. What awaited them on the other side of this confrontation? The air hung thick with tension, its weight pressing down on Jack as he stood between the remnants of conflict and the possibility of reconciliation. "I think we should talk more about what taking that step really means," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. The moon still cast its silver light over them, but the shadows of their collective past loomed heavily, threatening to swallow any rays of hope that had begun to emerge. Their mother searched Jack's face, her expression a tapestry of hesitation and yearning. "Jack, to truly begin anew, we might need to face the reality of what drove us apart in the first place." Jack felt a pang of discomfort. He had spent years trying to sidestep discussions that could potentially open old wounds, but he realized he could no longer avoid the roots of their family discord. "I want to understand it all, Mom. What brought you to that point?" The question hung silently between them, demanding an answer. She sighed deeply, her breath trembling. "It was fear, Jack. Fear of failing. Fear of repeating the cycle I suffered through as a child. I thought if I kept my distance, I wouldn't cause more pain." Crippling self-doubt coursed through Jack. "But it ultimately led to more pain, didn't it?" he pressed, looking for validation in her eyes. "You protected yourself but left me and Brian to fend for ourselves." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, acknowledgement deepening the lines etched on her face. "I believed I was making the right choice, but it seems I was only hiding." Jack's stomach churned at the revelation. Brian's resentment stemmed from a twisted version of her fears, fighting the shadows all alone, drowning in unresolved rage. But Jack had begun to see through that dark prism, allowing compassion to edge its way into his heart. "Letting go can be terrifying," he offered gently. "Acknowledging your past and admitting your mistakes could start the healing process. Not just for you, but for all of us." Tom shifted beside Jack, his tension easing. Jack could feel the warmth of brotherhood radiate from him, the shared goal now entwining their hearts. They needed clarity, not just for their mother, but for themselves as well. "I don't want to repeat our parents' mistakes," Tom spoke up, his voice cutting through the lingering chill. "We need to confront Brian, but do it united as brothers. It's time to face him with honesty, or else we'll forever be trapped in this cycle." Jack nodded, recognizing the truth in Tom's words. Their path ahead seemed fraught with challenges, but clarity began to form. Confronting Brian together could not only shift the family dynamic, but reveal how we could stand apart from our past instead of surrendering to it. And so, with every word shared between them, Jack felt his own resolve crystallizing further. He questioned his own fears. Was he truly ready to face Brian again? But the thought of letting resentment dictate their family's future stirred up a deeper determination within him. "Let's schedule a time to meet Brian. He needs to understand that we're not the same helpless children he left behind," Jack declared firmly. "We've grown, we've learned, and now we're ready to redefine what family means on our terms." As his mother nodded, a small but hopeful smile crept onto her lips. Jack recognized her respect for his growth in that moment, a proud signal that they were beginning to travel the same path. But as a new light flickered to life, Jack's thoughts turned darker. Would Brian respond with the understanding they sought, or retaliate with bitterness? Would they emerge with healing and empathy, or would the scars from the past tear them apart once more? The uncertainty loomed large. What awaited them in this confrontation could either strengthen their bond or shatter it irreparably. Standing in the dim light, Jack took a breath, ready to step forward into the chaos that awaited. "Tomorrow. We'll meet him tomorrow," he affirmed, feeling a mix of excitement and dread tingling at the edges of his resolve. What would happen when everything came to a head? What truth lay hidden, waiting to be unraveled? He could only wonder if they were prepared for the answers that would emerge. As dawn broke over the landscape, the sunlight seeped through the curtains, casting a warm glow that contrasted sharply with the apprehension pooling in Jack's stomach. Yesterday, he had declared a commitment to face the past. Today, he felt the full weight of that decision pressing down on him. He paced the small living room, his thoughts spiraling. Would Brian be receptive? Was he ready to stand his ground against the bitterness that had defined their relationship for far too long? Tom, entering from the kitchen with a mug of coffee, interrupted Jack's reverie. "You okay?" he asked, concern etched in his brow. It was a simple question, yet it held layers of unspoken acknowledgement between them. The brothers understood the stakes of the impending confrontation. "I don't know," Jack replied slowly, picking at the edges of anxiety that had begun to creep in. What if confronting Brian just drives him deeper into his anger? What if we fail to communicate? Tom leaned against the wall, his mug clutched tight. "This can be different, Jack. We've changed. We're not the boys he left behind. We have tools now. Our perspectives, our voices. We can be honest with him." Jack paused to consider Tom's words. They were right. They had developed strengths through their struggles. The family dynamic might have rearranged itself, but they now possessed the self-awareness that could guide them. Still, who they were going into that meeting felt delicate, and he needed to ensure he was fully prepared. "Let's write down what we want to say," Jack suggested, his voice firming up. "If we articulate our feelings before we speak with him, we can stay on track. No petty arguments or distractions." The two brothers retreated to Jack's room, papers and pens strewn about as they brainstormed their heartfelt approaches. Jack's heart raced with each bullet point he drafted, the words becoming a conduit for everything he had lived through. Pain, reflection, hope. Every feeling bubbled forth as he wrote. "I remember the last time I spoke to Brian," Jack finally said, his fingers hesitating over the notepad. "I was angry, pleading for answers, but I was lost and hurt, not understanding the weight of demand I put on him." Tom nodded slowly. "This time, we need to express our emotions but also understand his. There's a difference between accusations and constructive dialogue." With their notes in place, a sense of purpose began to wash over Jack. Each word was a step toward reclaiming his narrative. He had always felt like the victim of circumstance, but now he was steeling himself to take ownership of his story, transforming his perceived weaknesses into fortifications for growth. As the hours ticked down, an undercurrent of determination surged within him. Regardless of Brian's potential resistance, they were armed with clarity and compassion, and that was essential for the conflict they were about to face. Jack envisioned standing on that precipice, refusing to shy away from the raw intensity of emotions swirling among them. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jack and Tom readied themselves for the meeting. The fusion of nerves and empowerment crackled in the air. Together, they would redefine their relationship with Brian. But he couldn't help but reflect. How much could he truly learn in this encounter? Would Brian surprise them with an unexpected admission? Or would he retreat into old patterns, leaving their hopes in tatters? What essence of their past would come alive in this confrontation? The questions weighed heavily as they climbed into the car, ready to drive toward possibilities and uncertainties, all converging in one volatile moment. As they turned onto the road, Jack glanced at his brother. "Let's remember, whatever happens, this is our story now." Tom looked back at him, eyes steady, the family legacy flickering in the distance. "Agreed. It's our turn to steer." The road seemed endless, but Jack felt a new horizon looming ahead, a horizon that might hold the key to unlocking the truths that needed unveiling, truths he was finally prepared to confront. Would they emerge renewed, or would the shadows of their past become a weight too heavy to carry? The drive felt like a slow unraveling of both time and tension, as Jack's mind raced through every potential outcome of the confrontation. The familiar streets blurred past, yet his focus was fixated inward. He scoured his thoughts for strength, attempting to quiet the echoes of self-doubt that gnawed at him. What would this moment reveal about him? Not just in reaction to Brian, but in his own identity, crafted under the weight of unspoken pain. Tom's voice broke through the silence. "You ready, man?" The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Jack took a deep breath, allowing the crisp evening air to fill his lungs, invigorating and grounding. "As ready as I'll ever be." They lacked a map to navigate this emotional terrain, but they had a shared commitment to confront the truth. When they arrived at Brian's apartment, dread and anticipation danced in Jack's chest. They stepped into the building's dimly lit hallway, each echoing footfall amplifying his uncertainty. Upon reaching the door, they exchanged a look, an unspoken agreement that this was the tipping point. Holding a pen and notepad tucked safely in his pocket felt a touch reassuring, a physical reminder that they had come prepared. Brian answered the door, his expression a blend of surprise and guarded wariness. "Jack, Tom," he greeted, the warmth in his tone overshadowed by a veil of skepticism. "Hey, can we come in?" Jack managed, striding forward with his heart pounding. Once settled, the room hummed with tension, the air thickening with residual words unsaid. Jack sifted through the carefully crafted notes in his pocket, his shaking hands barely able to contain the intensity building within him. What if the depth of their pain only drew them apart further? But then again, what if this encounter catalyzed a myriad of possibilities, healing wounds long left festering? "Brian, we need to talk about some things," Jack began, his voice steadying as he met his brother's gaze. The shift had just begun. "There's been a gap between us, one that's only grown wider, and we're hoping to bridge it tonight." Brian frowned, confusion etched on his face. "What do you mean? I thought we were past all that." "Maybe we thought so," Tom interjected, his tone calm yet assertive. "But the silence has never felt resolved. We want to share how we feel." Jack felt the rise of emotion welling within him. The words tumbled out in a rush, cascading into the space that separated them. "I felt abandoned, Brian. Your absence left a hole, one I tried to fill with anger and resentment. But I don't want to feel that way anymore. I just want to understand." Surprise sparked in Brian's eyes, and he shifted in his seat. "I didn't realize it had affected you so deeply. I thought you were better off without me," he confessed, his voice thickening with a mix of regret and vulnerability. And perhaps that was the crux of the moment, the realization that each of them had been navigating in isolation, trapped by their own stories of hurt. There was raw honesty in Brian's admission, a chink in the armor he'd built against emotional pain. Jack felt a thread of connection beginning to weave through the air. As the conversation unfolded, Jack discovered a shared experience of misunderstanding, the complexities of their roles as sons and brothers bleeding into a collective narrative of struggle. They spoke of lost years and unspoken pressures, and with each word exchanged, an unsteady ground began to stabilize. What he didn't expect was to find his own suppressed anger transforming into a deeper empathy for Brian's choices. He could see the man, not just the father who had left. But in that vulnerability, new questions arose. Could this be the turning point? Or would old wounds continue to bleed into their future discussions? Jack could sense the tension electrifying the air, the weight of past grievances held on the precipice of something new. Is it too late to start over? Brian asked suddenly, holding Jack's gaze with desperate hope. Jack's heart quickened at the sincerity in Brian's voice. The answer felt profound, layered with promises that could rebuild or reaffirm their fractured history. Suddenly, the path ahead felt wide open, but fraught with uncertainty. What if it's just the beginning? Jack whispered, contemplating the possibilities that lay before him. Unbeknownst to Jack, the road he was starting to navigate led to deeper revelations, discoveries about his own resilience, and perhaps the power of forgiveness. But as Brian's look shifted from expectation to cautious optimism, Jack couldn't shake the belief buried deep within him. The real journey had only just begun. What further truths awaited them just beyond this moment, riddled with the shadows of the past? Jack sat thoughtfully, the weight of the moment pressing down on him like an anchor. Here he was, on the precipice of transformation, not just for himself, but for an entire family legacy. As he absorbed his brother's query, a flicker of conviction sparked within him. "Brian," he began earnestly, choosing his words with care. "It's never too late. We can start over, but it has to be built on honesty. No more silence, no more half-truths. We owe it to the past and to ourselves." The room stilled as each of them took in Jack's fervent declaration. The shadows of regret threaded through every still air molecule around them. The past had cast a long shadow over their present, but perhaps, just perhaps, they were ready to step into the light. Tom leaned forward, his eyes steady. "We can't let fear dictate our future. It's time for us to acknowledge the consequences of our past actions, for better or worse, and decide what we want moving forward. Together." Brian's brow furrowed, and the gravity of Tom's words began to resonate within him. In his tone, there was a call to action layered beneath vulnerability, a request for collaboration rather than confrontation. Something in that had softened Brian's guarded demeanor, revealing a hint of the brother he once knew. "I've carried so much guilt," Brian admitted, his voice trembling slightly. "I thought leaving would protect you two, but watching from the sidelines has only hurt us. I never intended to be a source of pain for anyone." Jack felt the cracks in Brian's facade begin to deepen, creating a window for openness rather than defensiveness. He was beginning to glimpse an opportunity for true connection, for understanding, unlike the bitterness of old conversations that had only ended in shouting and hurt. "What if we establish a way to talk regularly?" Jack proposed, yearning for a solid foundation to build upon. "A system where we can address issues as they arise, rather than letting them fester." For the first time in years, Jack felt not only hopeful, but empowered by the very act of speaking out. He wanted to forge a path forward that was rife with opportunities for dialogue and emotional labor, a chance to breathe life into relationships that had long since stifled in silence. Tom chimed in, a purposeful light igniting in his eyes. "Family dinners, monthly calls, something that doesn't make us feel like we're tiptoeing around each other. Just open lines of communication." Brian's expression shifted, the apprehension melting away into something that resembled acceptance. "I could try. I think I'm ready to break what's been holding me back. I've missed you both." Jack barely recognized the emotion that surged through him. This was no longer just about old resentments, but about reshaping the legacy they inherited into one of mutual respect and understanding. Perhaps the opportunity for real connection had existed all along, buried just beneath the layers of resentment. The trio sat together in the dim light, a quiet understanding settling over them like a cloak. They had faced the specter of their past, and for the first time, a plan began to form. Days turned into weeks, and as they began to implement their new framework of communication, Jack found himself reflecting on how far he had come. No longer was he a man burdened by the fear of confrontation or insecurities stemming from childhood disappointments. With every phone call and family gathering, he redefined what success meant, not through architecture or accolades, but through the bonds they fortified through hard conversations. In an unexpected twist, one day while cleaning out the attic at Tom's encouragement, Jack stumbled upon an old photograph taken decades prior. He and Tom, grinning beside their father, embodying all the dreams they once shared. It was in that moment of nostalgia that realization washed over him. Family was not merely about shared blood, but the experiences shaped by openness and willingness to grow together. His heart raced with clarity, for the value of his triumphs now resided not in his professional accolades, but in the relationships they were building. Generations beyond them would learn the importance of healing, of facing pain, rather than hiding from it. The culmination of Jack's journey had manifested not just in reconciliations, but also in understanding the transformative power of embracing vulnerability. He had anchored himself firmly as the architect of his own life, a life where connection outweighed individual success. In the twilight of that evening, seated around the dinner table with Tom and Brian, laughter resonated among them, the laughter of a family beginning to thrive. As conversations unfolded, Jack felt a wave of accomplishment wash over him, one that surpassed all professional accolades he'd once basked in. He achieved what he once believed was out of reach: solid relationships founded on openness, trust, and renewed purpose. Jack rose from the table, the photograph clutched in his hand as he made his way to display it prominently in the house, an emblem of the legacy they were creating. The once fractured bond had been rebuilt anew, bridged by honest discussions and the courage to face their shared history together. Elation surged through him. He had not only confronted his fears but conquered them, having redefined what it meant to live a fulfilled life. The moment he stepped into that revitalized space, he felt solid confidence enveloping him, a truth he had long sought. He was no longer just an architect of buildings. He was now the author of his family's narrative, a narrative steeped deeply in authentic connection, ready for each new chapter to be written with love, understanding, and an unwavering commitment to each other. Now was time to embrace the years ahead, not with apprehension, but with courage. If you found value in Jack's journey and the triumphs of healing and family transformation, you need to subscribe now to the channel for your dose of inspiring stories to come. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so we can reach more hearts and minds. Don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Comment below with your reactions or theories about the journey. And above all, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this resolution. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.